So I'm probably going to remix in the last two videos that I did because when you put Star Trek clips into a video, it's like the YouTube auto censors basically automatically screw with you. It doesn't even matter like how much time, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, it really doesn't even matter. They get you anyway. So Generation Z men and women have a deep political divide. It's made dating a nightmare. So it says Kelly Shay's date showed up half an hour late to the bar where they were supposed to meet, and things only got worse from there. When he finally arrived, Shay, a now 23-year-old who was studying, nobody cares what you're studying, international politics anyway, at the University of Delaware at the time. Why do they got to tell you all that? Like, do I really need... Basically, that's like damn near doxing her. It's like, if I really wanted to look her up, all I'd have to do is look for whatever data files or whatever exist at the University of Delaware. And like, but why you got to tell me all of this? I don't need to know all of this. I just don't see the point. But anyway, says that they got to talking. She asked him one of her go-to first date questions. What is your most controversial take? I don't even understand the point of that question. I really don't. I do believe that everybody has deep down inside them a controversial take. She says, this man, he was like, I don't have any. And I was like, that's not true. Tell me what comes to mind. And then he thinks about it for a second. He was like, oh, I think being gay is wrong. That's funny. Okay. It's because of instances like this that Shay, who describes herself as solidly left-wing, draws a hard line when it comes to dating and politics. If someone's on the far right, she's not interested. If someone's moderate or center-right in the vein of John McCain or Mitt Romney, she says she might give them a chance. Now, first of all, John McCain and Mitt Romney were both rhinos. Now, they were rhinos of a different flavor. Mitt Romney was only interested in money. John McCain, he was a little bit more of, say, a moderate Republican. But John McCain was there for the money. And Mitt Romney was mostly interested in the money. So, they're both rhinos, but they're just rhinos of a different pocket depth, you could say. So, who's next? What is this? Politics is definitely a factor in my dating, Shay says. If someone matches with me or not matches with me, but they like my profile or whatnot, and it says conservative, I will absolutely X them. I do think I'm okay with a difference in political opinions to a certain extent. I draw a line when it comes to certain issues such as human rights. Oh, please. Whatever. In addition to the many pitfalls of online dating, Gen Z is also having to navigate a dating landscape marked by steep political polarization between men and women. An April poll by NBC News found that partisan divide between men and women ages 18 to 29 to be wider than that of any other age range, with 53% of Gen Z women identified as Democrats compared to just 35% of Gen Z men. On the flip side, 38% of young men surveyed called themselves Republicans versus just 20% of young men. And I would say that this is probably mostly due to social media. Young men are attracted to all of these, so-called conservative podcasts. And now I think what they really need to worry about is the fact that more and more young men are basically being radicalized against modern women by people just like Andrew Tate, people like Kevin Samuels, and very rightfully so. It's like the modern women are bringing absolutely nothing to the table except risks of allegations, problems, and divorce. So the men have every right and they have every reason to be radicalized against them. These podcasters, a lot of them, you think about it, most of these podcasters who are famous, these people make a lot of money. they're not interested in paying big taxes. Like, I look at people like Graham Stephan. And Graham Stephan, you know, he made a video and it got a lot of views because it was funny because I was watching his video counts. He wasn't getting a whole lot of views on his videos, but then he started doing videos about how they fucked up California, how the Democrats ruined California. All of a sudden, his views went straight up. And the thing about it is, when you're dealing with people like that, these people are wealthy. These people make a lot of money, and they ain't interested in paying higher taxes. They're not interested in it. Especially, the telling fact is when they start talking about homelessness and how homelessness is ruining their state or ruining their city or whatever. Or they start talking about how corrupt the politicians are and how they're using the money for everything they shouldn't be using the money for. They tell on themselves. So even the ones, because see, the problem is YouTube plays political games. If you're a conservative, if you're a Republican, if you're a channel that is speaking about far-right policies, or YouTube basically is shadow banning you. And it's funny, I was watching Peter Schiff. And Peter Schiff is like, wow, man, I don't understand why I haven't gotten to like 700,000 subs yet. I'm like, yo, Peter, YouTube is shadow banning you. It's obvious. What they started doing was now, and I want you to think about this, because, you know, it's funny. We had this huge discussion about net neutrality. Then you start getting these corporations, and these corporations are basically kicking you around and doing whatever they want to you. We used to have notifications. If I made a video, if anybody made a video automatically popped up in your feed, and you're like, oh, okay, I have a choice whether I want to watch it or not. What did YouTube do? Took away notifications. Why? Because what they're doing is they're controlling the flow of the feeds. Let's say I'm laying in bed and I'm watching YouTube, right? And you know how you lay in bed, you're watching maybe a television show, and you know how it bounces from one subscriber or one channel to another, right? So let's say I'm watching Mystery Science Theater. Why is it that it almost always somehow ends up on like channels I don't want to watch, like MSNBC, or it'll end up with gaming channels that I didn't choose to go to, and I'm watching Counter-Strike Go, and I'm like, wait a minute, how the hell did I get here? And all I did was take a nap, and you woke up. They're controlling the feeds. It's that simple. They're shadow banning people. They're controlling the feeds. They've done everything that they could to make it so that you couldn't control the flow of information on your channel. For example, they used to have cards, and they used to have click here to go to the next video or click here to go to my old video. They took all that shit away. And they did all that on purpose just so they can control the feeds. So what they've ended up doing is a lot of these big, huge channels, these people got millions of subscribers. They've cost them a lot of subscribers because the future subscribers don't even know about their channel. They don't even see their channel. So they've cost them a lot of subscribers. They've cost them a lot of views. And obviously, they've cost them a lot of money. So even when you look at these really, really big channels, take a look at their videos and see just how many views they're getting every time they put out a video. And what you'll notice is the trend is that these people may have millions of subscribers, but they're getting like no views per video. And you're like, wait a minute, that can't be right. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, it does make sense. They're shadow banning you. And if they're not shadow banning you, they're driving people away from your channel. So I say all that to say this. These podcasters are pissed off. They're losing money. First of all, they're losing money from YouTube. A lot of them have gone and they try to go over to these other things like Rumble and everything. And honestly, I just don't think that there's enough money on those other channels because ultimately Google's routing all the goddamn information anyway. So basically, Google's pushing people towards YouTube. If you type in a search engine, how to change a tire or something, Google's going to force you in a specific direction. They're going to force you towards YouTube, and they're going to force you to whatever YouTuber has that DIY video who has the most views. So for the most part, their algorithm, they're costing these podcasters a lot of money. So the podcasters already aren't happy. But then you factor in the fact that they're losing a lot of money to welfare. They're losing a lot of money to taxes. They lose a lot of money to political corruption. They're not happy. So when I see these YouTubers like Graham Stephan and, oh yeah, I'm just a middle of the road guy and I'm trying to keep politics out of it, that's bullshit. Because the simple fact is I already know exactly what you're experiencing. So I pretty much know exactly what your lean is. And I don't have a problem with it. But my problem is by capitulating with Google, by capitulating with YouTube, all you're doing is making the situation worse. This is George Orwell's 1984. It's getting started, but most of you are so goddamn uneducated and haven't read anything. You don't read. And you don't even know about the George Orwell 1984 story. Or you haven't paid attention to a lot of these other totalitarian dictatorship rules and these dystopian futures. Because y'all don't pay enough attention to that shit, you're being pushed right in that direction and you don't see it. I see it. I see it, and that's why I'm skeptical of everything. Everything that they do, I'm skeptical. I automatically wait a minute. These people are trying to fuck me over. And I see it right away. But bottom line is, you're going to get there and eventually you will see it. And by then it'll be basically too late. So young men, a lot of them, they're seeing it and they're pulling it back and they're pulling away from everything. They don't want to be involved in college. They don't want to go to these universities because they don't want to drive up debt. A lot of them are barely doing anything in high school. So by the time they graduate from high school, they're like C- students. They don't really want to keep going forward. The only thing that forces them to go in that direction is the fact that, most of these lending institutions, especially when it comes to college, have lowered their standards. And they basically say, listen, if you have a pulse and a pencil, you can get into college. When I was a kid, they used to tell you, they're like, yo, listen, if you don't do well in high school, you're never going to get into a good college. They used to say that. And they should be saying it. They should still be saying it. But they stopped saying it. Because apparently, sooner or later, you're going to get like some racist and that person is going to say it to the wrong color person. And then they're going to sue the whole goddamn school. So then the school made it a policy. Okay, yeah, you can't say that. I was told that shit all the time. I grew up being told, listen, if you do this and you do that, or if you steal, or if you fight people and shit, you're going to end up getting killed by the cops. Or if you sell drugs, you're going to end up getting killed by the cops, or you're going to end up in jail. You're going to end up dead or in jail. I was told if you don't do well, if you don't work hard, you're going to end up not getting into college, and then you're going to have a shitty job. You're going to end up working fucking Kinko's, or you're going to end up working at like Staples for the rest of your life. And I listened to it. And I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe that's right. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do my best not to end up dead or in jail. And I'm going to, do a good job so I can get into a good college. And sure enough, I did. I got 2 scholarships. So I have 2 master's degrees for a reason. These new kids, they have no motivation. They'll sit on fucking TikTok or YouTube because YouTube has the same shit. They got that shorts format where you just flip from video to video like a mindless zombie, and you watch it and nobody says anything about it. And that's the crazy thing about it. They just go video to video to video to video, and they don't even know how to regulate themselves. Facebook's got it. Instagram's got it. YouTube's got it. They all copied off of the TikTok model. You have these kids that'll sit in front of these fucking televisions. They'll run through these videos mindlessly all day long, and their parents are too weak to do anything about it. My Congress could have banned TikTok. Too weak to do anything about it. When you all end up mindless zombies and stupid and dumb, I'm going to be on a beach in the Philippines getting my back rubbed by some chick half my age with buko juice and coconut oil. I'm not going to sit by and just watch this. I'm not going to do it. I'm leaving. And the only things I will come back for is maybe healthcare and perhaps to check on my properties that I'm renting out. And that's it. Other than that, it's like I refuse to be a part of this shit because it's pathetic. It's like watching something circle down the drain and go down. Like it's like you take a shit and you watch it just circle down the drain and just goes down. It's gone. It's like that's basically what you're watching. So they're wondering why they're having these problems with these young men. But that's the reason why they're having these problems with young men. Young men are supposed to be the future builders of society. They're supposed to be the future maintainers of society. It's no different than what was in the Bible. Your father was supposed to give you land, and you're supposed to keep that land up, and then you're supposed to give it to your male son. Women do not build anything. They may have a couple of jobs here and there on a Toyota or a Honda line helping put rivets into a car. But that's about it. They don't build anything. I'm staring right now at a movie theater. They didn't build that. I'm staring at a Costco right over here. They didn't build that. If I look up hard enough, there's a space station up there. They didn't build that. We build. They're supposed to help us build. But what they've done is they've literally flipped the script on these people, and they basically told everybody, oh, yeah, well, girl power and boss babes and all that shit. And some of y'all were stupid enough to believe it. So the bottom line is the men can't handle that because evolutionarily, they're not designed to handle this shit. They don't understand what's going on. Their blood knows that something's wrong. Their DNA knows that there's something wrong here. And there's nothing that they can say. There's nothing that they can do. Why? Because they'll get shadow banned and whatever they say. See, the smart thing to do, and this is what I keep saying about Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a fool. Elon Musk decided that he was going to champion all that far-right, racist, all that rhetoric and all that shit. Whether you believe it or not, I don't give a fuck. He decided he was going to champion all that shit. What he should have done, and what I would have done, let's say I was a racist and I want to champion far-right lunacy. What I would have done was I would have waited until I had $1 trillion. And after I had that $1 trillion, that's when I would have started talking shit. Because what you always do, you wait until all your ducks in a row and nobody can stop you. And that's when you go crazy. But this guy decided, hey, you know what? Let me go crazy early. Now, Tesla stock is down. Nobody wants to have a Tesla if they can avoid it. Everybody wants to buy something else. That's his fault. He did that. But long story short, the men are losing their minds. And the problem is the women can't make up for the men because that's not their evolutionary duty. They have no idea what to do. You can show them how to build a bridge. You can give them step-by-step procedures. And they can't do it because they ain't got the strength to do it. That's our job. Says the political gender divide is yet another romantic hurdle for a generation that's having less sex and burned out on dating apps. And I've said this before, stay away from these goddamn dating apps. If you have a dating app and you're listening to the sound of my voice, which you're probably not because YouTube's doing its best to suppress my message, you should cancel that. You should fucking unsubscribe, cancel that shit immediately. Dating apps are nothing more than fueling women's hypergamy. You think that you're going to get something out of it. You're not. What you're doing is giving them something out of it. You're giving them the ability to pick the best of you. And here's the real secret. There is no best of you. So what the women will do is they will thumb through you. They'll thumb through your profiles. They'll thumb through you and they'll swipe left, swipe right, whatever it is. And at the end of the day, they still won't pick you because they're still going to hold out for something better. As far as they're concerned, real men wouldn't even be on dating apps as far as they're concerned. And it's funny because the women tell on themselves. What they'll say is if you were so great, you'd already have a woman. You wouldn't be on the dating apps. That's why you got to deal with these women cheating with married men so much because they know that the married men must have something going for them because the married men are married. So as far as they're concerned, you're not a real man or there's something wrong with you if you're on a dating app, but they're using you anyway because as we've already pointed out, they'll use you for food. They'll go out, they'll use you for dates just so that they don't have to be alone on a Friday night. They'll use you to go to the movies. I was just at this, what was this thing called? A movie, no, it was a music festival. And I went there with a woman. And I was making jokes about the fact that there was so many single women around. So we're at this music festival listening to this music. And, you bring your own lawn chair and all that. It was one of those summer things that pops up. It's just like with the fireworks shows. And I'm making jokes. I'm like, man, all these single women around here. Look at all these single women. And the bottom line is that could have just as easily been her because to be perfectly honest, I didn't even feel like going to that music festival. I would have stayed home and I would have either been taking a nap or I would have been having a drink or something, or I would have been playing Portal 2. And that's what it comes down to. It's like they know what they want, but what they've done is they've basically said aloud that they don't need no man and that they're just fine. I could do bad all by myself, blah, blah, blah. So the men have basically said, okay, well, if you can do bad all by yourself, then you don't need me. So I'm just going to step back. And they step back, and then society basically falls apart. Donald Trump up there trying to offer women $5,000 to have babies. It's like, yo, bro, listen, if you want to get these women pregnant, you need to offer them an apartment. And not just any apartment. You basically got to offer them a damn near entry luxury apartment. Like, you got to offer them something that's got central air conditioning and central heating. Because the simple fact is, these women are no different than the queen alien xenomorph from the movie Aliens. They are looking for stability. They are going to move down into your atmosphere processor, and then they're going to start laying eggs. That's what it comes down to. The aliens don't want to reproduce if they don't have the stability of the atmosphere around them and they don't have the stability of a nice climate and everything is perfect for them to lay eggs. Once you give them that atmosphere processor and Hadley's Hope, that's when they're going to move down there and they're going to start having eggs. And if you haven't seen the movies, then you wouldn't know what I'm talking about. But that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with parasites. That's ultimately what you're dealing with. So anyway, it says it's easier to align yourself with their political identity now than it was way back then because of technology. I do think it funnels you into certain sects, Shay says. So I do think it fragments and segments people, making it harder to find common ground when it comes to dating. There was a time when women didn't care or know much about anything about politics, and a woman basically took on whatever politics her husband had. And if she did have her own political leanings, she kept it to herself. First of all, real politics is for people who actually own property and pay taxes. That's the main thing that this is supposed to come down to. We're voting on whether or not our tax money is being spent wisely. But they've turned it, by letting women into politics, what you've turned it into is a battle over pregnancy, a battle over in vitro fertilization. You've turned this into a battle over abortion. You've turned this into a battle over all of this stuff that really has nothing to do with homeowners, landowners, and taxpayers. That's what you've done. You've turned it into something entirely different. That's the reason why the 40s and the 50s ain't going to come back. They can't come back because you've allowed them to get so entrenched into this that it's become something that it should have never became. What's next? Among Gen Z, the political polarization between men and women showed itself prominently during the 2024 presidential election. On election day, Gen Z men turned out for Trump, with 49% of them voting for him and 47% voting for Harris. Now, what's interesting about that is neither one of those numbers is too bad for Gen Z. To tell you the truth, I always really believed that Gen Z was going to lean more towards welfare and was going to lean more towards asking for handouts and begging. I really, really believed that about Gen Z, and I also really believe that about Gen Alpha. However, what it appears now, when you look at the data, it really appears now that Gen Z is so disgusted with millennials, and because you got to understand, as I've said before, these kids are looking at you like you're a walking lottery ticket, especially if you're their parents, especially if you're their grandparents. They're jealous. They see you're a millennial, you got your house before 2020, you've got money in because first of all, like even, most of these data gurus and everybody pretty much agrees, you really start saving wealth once you have a house. For instance, in my houses, I have over $40,000 of equity in either property. So if I needed to reach in there and take out money, I could easily reach in there and take out money. And I set those places up to be paid off. One of my houses is going to be paid off within the next 10 years, and the next house is going to be paid off within the next 20 years, because what I did was I reduced the loan term. So these kids are looking at you and they're like, oh, wow, you got a house and you can have nice cars and you can have this and you can have that. And meanwhile, they're busting their ass and they can't afford anything. And they're looking at us, millennials, just like millennials are looking at baby boomers. And we're like, shit, y'all were able to have a McDonald's job and still be able to pay rent and still have a car. Or y'all were able to have a regular job, just one job, and you were able to pay for a mortgage, a family. You were like Al Bundy. You were able to raise a whole family on one salary. That's crazy. We can't even imagine that now because, they're getting, higher cost of living, higher taxes, higher gas prices, higher this, higher that, higher car prices, higher house price, unaffordable house price, completely unaffordable. So they're looking at these older people like they're nothing more than walking lottery tickets. So I guess maybe some of them are ultimately angry and some of them hate liberal politics and some of them are basically voting right. Or I should say, voting for rightist or, right-wing policies. Now, for them to give 47% of their vote to Harris, I think Harris could have actually gotten more of their vote, except for the fact that they weren't happy. And I think they probably weren't happy about Biden's economy. And a lot of them probably weren't happy about how things were going between Israel and Gaza. And they felt that the Biden and Harris administration should have done more to stop it, which they didn't. So the bottom line is they deserve the loss that they got. So it says also, Trump also gained ground with Gen Z women. And that's kind of crazy for Gen Z women to be supporting Trump. That's just amazing to me. But it says, though, that same exit polling showed 61% of these voters still went for Harris. 61% of these voters went for Harris. Okay. So, that's just the real data right there. It says the conservative swing among young men hasn't been lost on daters either. I have seen an uptick in men displaying that they're conservative on dating apps, Shay says. That is true even in liberal dating markets, says Kimberly Bazoo, a 28-year-old who hosts Rich Little Broke Girls, a podcast about modern womanhood. Bazoo, who identifies as center-left, says that even in blue cities, many young men hold conservative views, even if they don't discuss them. I think a lot of that might come from anti-LGBTisms. I think a lot of these young men, just like it just said in the story, who don't believe in gay rights movement or don't believe in transgender and transsexual movements, I think a lot of that comes from that, because what ends up happening is they get defensive. They get so defensive when any of those issues are brought up that they're quick to say, yeah, I don't believe in that and I don't support that. That's what I believe. They could prove me wrong, but that's what I believe. I think a lot of that comes from that. I think if the Democrat Party, if they got, because you remember what Bill Clinton did. Maybe you don't, because maybe you're not old enough. Bill Clinton had a policy of don't ask, don't tell. We don't care what you are, just don't say nothing. But these people... Yeah, so basically, I had just gotten a phone call, so I had to stop. But basically, Bill Clinton had a policy of don't ask, don't tell. And then these people are like, nah, we're going to tell everybody. Not only we're going to tell everybody, we're going to have parades, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And that really doesn't play too well with your majority heterosexual, straight Christian males, especially your heterosexual Christian white males or your heterosexual Christian black males. That really doesn't play too well. So I think the Democrat Party, what they need to do is they need to reorganize themselves, and maybe a third party is necessary. That's where I might agree with Elon Musk, because the problem is Elon Musk in and of himself, the guy, whether he's a racist or not, he champions fucking far right lunacy and things that most people perceive to be racist or sexist. So maybe a third party is necessary, But I believe that if there is a third party, all that's going to happen is corporate money is going to corrupt it just like it did the Democrats and the Republicans. And this is part of the reason why when you watch the mayoral race of New York, learn from it. Mamdani is going to win because the Democratic machine has thrown their weight behind him. Eric Adams voting independent is not going to work. Andrew Cuomo trying to run as an independent against Eric Adams and Mamdani, you already know one of them three got to lose, or two of those three got to lose. No, the Democrat machine is putting its weight behind Mamdani, and that's the reason why he's going to win. So when you've got the kind of corporate money and you've got that kind of power behind you, the machine is going to push one of the two of you through. And when you're dealing with corporate Democrats and you're dealing with corporate Republicans, and Kamala Harris versus Trump was no different, the simple fact is the corporation's always going to win. One way or another, they're going to win. Like it is inevitable, So long story short, yeah, that you should pay attention to this race because that's going to tell you a lot about what's happening, especially in these really big Democrat cities, and considering the fact that they have so much power voting power, you should really watch that. It says a lot of people in New York and LA, they wear these liberal masks socially while still holding more conservative views behind closed doors, Bazoo says. I know some of my friends who are likely conservative would never admit to it publicly. And that's true. A lot of people who are Trump supporters, especially now with this Epstein, he won't show the Epstein files because his name is in it. A lot of people, they absolutely hate Democrats and will not admit to being a Democrat or leaning left. But some of them are, they're not comfortable saying that they're Republican either. Some of them know that and imagine those people who are Republicans, vote Republican, and who live in blue states and stuff. They ain't going to tell you that shit, and they're right not to. I don't understand why people feel the need to wear their political beliefs on their shoulders. It's like, nah, it's better to just don't say nothing. Some people are going to look at your skin color, whether you're white or black, and they're going to assume you're a Democrat or a liberal anyway. Some people are going to look at the yarmulke on your head, and they're going to assume you vote Democrat. Some people are going to look at a hijab on your head and assume you vote Democrat. The truth might be different, but assumptions are their own animals. So it's like you might as well let them believe whatever they want to believe, and they're going to treat you that way anyway. But just by talking to you, by actually getting to know you, they find out the truth that, oh shit, this guy, I thought this guy was a Democrat, and this guy's a raging Trump supporter, So, just, it's better to let it unfold organically, in my opinion. So they show a picture of Kimberly Bazoo. Kimberly Bazoo, apparently, she looks like she's a 28-year-old. It looks like she's a black woman, in my opinion, but with that last name, Bazoo, I don't know. I think she's like from somewhere else. Maybe she is. I don't know. It says, it doesn't really tell where she's from. She might be one of them Brazilians or something, because that's a weird last name to have if you're black, or she might be African. I don't know. It says right-leaning men have noticed the divide too. Wynn Howard, a former United States Marine Corps infantry officer who's now getting a dual master at Georgetown University, re-entered the dating scene in February after getting out of a long-term relationship. Though he's on the dating app Hinge, get off these goddamn dating apps. He rarely uses it, preferring to meet women in person, where it's easier to get to know someone beyond the limited information on a dated app profile. Still, I have noticed on the dating apps, probably more often than not, I come across female profiles that will have their political view. He says, and in D.C., I feel like I definitely come across liberal more often. Well, obviously. Howard, who is 30 and labels himself center-right, says he's open. So this guy is Wynn Howard. He's a white man. He looks like he's on the show 24, or he looks like they'd put him in one of those movies like where there's always like, there's always a cop who's like a bad cop and everything. And he looks just like he could be cast as one of those like the bad guy in the show. Like they could cast him as the bad guy, like in a Neil Blomkamp film, basically. So anyway, Howard is 30 and labels himself center-right, says he's open to dating liberal women and believes finding common ground is whatever. I'm still a huge proponent and believer in bipartisanship and meeting in the middle, and that's how the two-party system is supposed to work, he says. So that is how I approach dating. I think just because someone is on the left, I'm more towards the right. That's not a deal breaker for me. He's just looking for some sex. Let's just be honest. He's just looking for whoever's willing to have sex with him. Chances is he's short, but whatever. It says relationship experts agree it's certainly possible for people with opposing political views to have a thriving romance, so long as they still share core values and treat each other with respect. For Bazoo, she says it's important to get to know someone beyond politics. After all, she says, most people don't fall neatly into conservative and liberal categories. She finds that acknowledging this nuance can be a good way to find commonality while holding fast to your values. My God, this thing is long. It says, honestly, when someone has a bigoted opinion super early on, it typically and usually comes from either the far right or the far left, she says. At that point, it's less about politics. It's more about this complete lack of nuance or compassion. And for me, personally, I just feel like if you're not curious or open to understanding different perspectives, then I am not interested in building a deeper connection. It's also important to remember Gen Z is still young and many of its members could change their views with time. Because of this, Bazoo encourages fellow Gen Zers to stay open-minded when it comes to dating. Be open to understanding different perspectives, she says, especially Gen Z. We're only at the beginning, right? We're still building our careers and our networks, and I think it's way more important to open yourself up to as many fulfilling relationships as possible, even if that means like, hey, maybe we hold different political views, but we could definitely get something out of this relationship. All right, thank God this is over. I thought I was going to go to sleep reading this shit. So that's the story. So they're basically talking about, again, Gen Z men and women have a deep political divide. Okay, so first of all, this is my take on it. Both of you are fucking idiots. The smart thing to do, men, because the women ain't going to do this. The men need to disconnect from all these goddamn dating apps, cancel your subscription, stop paying these people, cancel your subscription, get off the dating apps. If you want to meet women, then what you should do is you should be looking towards things that you normally do as a hobby. And you should try to find the women who kind of do the things that you normally are leaning towards. Like, for instance, if you happen to be, a Mormon or something, you go to the church looking for women because obviously there are Mormon women at the church. If you happen to like shopping at Costco a lot, and that's all you do, maybe you should go to Costco, look for women because they like shopping at Costco too. Try to meet people organically. This whole shit. See, the problem is the last thing you want is to play into women's hypergamy because there's no ending to the depth of their hypergamy. They will be as petty as you could possibly imagine, maybe even worse. And, also, it can't be overstated. Get your passport, because the thing about it is there's plenty of women overseas who have no beliefs. They don't believe in anything. Maybe they believe in their religion, and that's about it. But there's plenty of women overseas. Whatever you are, that's exactly what she's going to be. And that's the way it's supposed to be. See, the problem is if you're going after these old women who are quote-unquote old, and quote-unquote old and their experience, what you're doing is you're taking on the worst of her last boyfriend or her last husband or whatever it is. You don't want to deal with that. You go get your passport, you go overseas, you get you fresh young cookies, and legal, of course, 18 or above, whatever the legal age is, and they haven't had time to develop any political leanings. They haven't had time to become corrupted. You are corrupted, but they haven't had time for that. So that's what you do. And they will, if you're a Republican, they'll be a Republican too. Even if they don't believe in that shit. If you're a hard left-leaning Democrat, they'll be a hard left-leaning Democrat too. Because they're imprinting on you. It's just like in Jurassic Park. You remember how Richard Hammond, he was like, yeah, when the raptors are born, I want to be there. And I want to be like the first thing that they see. So this way it's like they think he's the mama. They imprint on him. That's what you want. But if you go after these old ass women, these old ass experienced, run through, whatever you want to call it, yeah, you're going to have problems. I mean, I shouldn't have to tell you that, but yeah, you're going to have lots of problems because they can't imprint you because they're still thinking about Tyrone, or they're still thinking about Pookie and Ray Ray. They're still thinking about them. Get your passports. That's all I got to say. Get your passports. Now, if you want to be a plantation, bro, and you want to stay here and you want to have a relationship under the American injustice system, I don't even call it the criminal justice system. I call it the injustice system. If you want to be here and you want to risk half your shit and you want to be here and you want to risk divorce and you want to risk her cheating on you and going and getting another man, and now your kids got to be in the house with another man and he won't let them play with his PlayStation 5 or whatever it is. If that's what you want, I can't stop you because you're a man, and I wouldn't even try to stop you. You do whatever you want. I'm telling you, get your passports, get off these goddamn dating apps, and stop giving these women the choice over you. Just stop. Just stop. If you're short, like there was a story about a dude who was short, and he was thinking about ending it all because he did like, oh, the bad bitches don't like me because I'm short. Now, I ain't got that problem. I'm 6'6", so it would be presumptive of me to say, yeah, I understand how you feel. Bottom line is, if you're short, there's lots of women out there who are short. Most of these women around the world, these women are in these third world countries, and these women are small. Now, if you stay away from, you don't want to go to like Russia or Poland because them some big girls over there. Them's just some big girls. You don't want to go around them. What you want to do is you go to like one of these third world countries where the women are like 5 foot nothing. And you can have a great time. You could be 5 foot 10, 5 foot 9, 5 foot 8. You go to one of these countries, these women are 4 nothing, 5 foot nothing, and you'll be fine. And you'll have a great time dating. And like, I'm not saying that you should be dating a woman based on her height. I'm just saying that if you're not getting, because I see a lot of these dudes who are in the gym, and these dudes work out like crazy. They got big, huge arms like they in a movie. And the thing about it is, these guys are like 5 foot nothing. And I know why they working out so hard. They're overcompensating for the fact that they 5 foot nothing. Now, I'm not going to make fun of that. I'm just saying there's plenty of countries out there where the women are 5 foot nothing. You go over there and you snatch one of them up. You can get you a Maria from Guadalajara. Maria's small. Maria's tiny. You go get you Mei Ling. You go to Burma or one of those Southeast Asian countries that nobody talks about. Them women are tiny. And you go over there and get one of them and you have a good time. Now, if you want to risk going after these tall chicks, I mean, yeah, there's lots of third world, like Ukrainian women right now are like 75% off because of the war. So my thing is, you go to Ukraine, you go to Russia, the Russian women are running too. They're trying to get out of there because Vladimir Putin's kicking their ass. So, there's plenty of options. Now, I'm not saying you should go get some behemoth, like, who's like 7 feet tall or something, because there's some of these women out there like 6'9". Like, there's some of these women look down on the top of my head, and I'm 6'6.5", and they look down on me. And I'm like, wow, I don't know if I climb that tree. But I'm not against climbing the tree. I'm just saying, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could date some chick. Like, I'm looking right now, there's a light pole up here. And it's the light pole at the charging station. I don't know if I could be dating a woman who's the size of this light pole right here. I don't think I could do it. But, bottom line is, women are hypergamous and men are hypogamous. That means that they date down. So get your passport. Go every time you get vacation time, especially if it's for a nice long time, go to another country, especially one of these third world countries where the women are short, and have a good time. And you'll have a great time dating. You can approach women. You don't have to worry about being shot down because these women are not going to shoot you down. I guarantee that. Oh, he American? Oh, yes, an American. We have American visitor. They invite you to have dinner with their family and lunch and everything, and everybody has a good time. It's not like America. These women don't even want to smile at you. And if you're short, some of them are literally up there saying that you don't have a right to exist if you're a short man. Like that's a goddamn shame. I'm sorry, that's mean. But that's all I'm saying. So that's this part of the story, and I'm going to blend that in with the other parts of the news that is recent, because this story came out like about an hour ago, 8:27 on July 17th. This story was about an hour ago, so it just came out, and I basically already covered it. So that's my advice to you. If you got a problem with that, like, you can not listen to me, but if you don't listen to me, you're going to miss out just like you did on NVIDIA. And just like you did on Microsoft and the rest of the man goat, with the exception of Tesla, because Elon Musk is an asshole. So I would recommend that if you're hearing the sound of my voice, you listen to this, and feel free to like, share, and subscribe, because YouTube ain't going to do it for me. YouTube is doing their best to suppress this information because we're a threat to the system. We're a threat to the Matrix. So, yeah, that's just that.
I don't need no man.
Okay. Are those your shoes? Hear me?
Can I hear you?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Let's walk outside, okay?
I just want
Where's
some
the inside?
catfish.
The thing right now for shoplifting, okay?
Okay.
Let's go inside.
Okay. I'll take this.
I'm gonna tell you, like I told you when we're coming in, you're detained right now for a shoplifting investigation, okay?
I haven't made any Passport Bros content lately, so I'm going to use this. A couple of stories that I just recently read. Basically, this will be my entry for Passport Bros content, basically, because there hasn't really been any new Passport Bros content, mostly because the Passport Bros are going on vacation right now because it's summer, it's July. And for the most part, it'll take a couple of months before you start seeing the pictures and hearing the stories. Now, there's a problem with this page. It's from says.com. There's a problem with this page. The page keeps blinking out because I think it's like bloatware and spyware and shit on it. So I'm going to just start by reading the title of the page, and then I'm going to turn on my reader on my iPhone, so this way I can actually read the story without the interruption of all this shitty ass spyware and all this garbage that's going on in the background. So the first story: local guy on Reddit encourages white men to come to Malaysia for submissive wives. It says, this is by Sadho Ram. Join a cooking, baking class, yoga class, then you'll get to meet normal local girls. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, as you can see, this is the picture right here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the reader so that this way I can just read this. And yeah, there we go. Because they've, it's amazing. Oh, my God. It's still messed up. God damn it. This is like something seriously wrong here. I got to figure out how to beat this. Because there's something that's just a text reader. And I think this is it. But it's still blinking out for some reason. I don't know. So what I'll try to do is I'll try to make this very quick. But let me just go back to this thing. Like, this thing is going crazy. It says highlights, no. Show reader. Hide distracting items, absolutely. All right, but I don't even know what's the distracting item. So, all right, let's see. Is that the reader? I don't know. Shit. Okay, wait, let's go back one, and then let's turn that reader back on. All right, hopefully I can get through most of it. It says, in the post uploaded earlier this week, the author urges white passport bros. First of all, passport bros are black males. Passport Joes are white males, okay? Men who travel abroad, particularly to developing countries, supposedly to escape Western feminism and find more traditional women. God damn it. This fucking thing. Wait, hold on. I got to try to figure out, like, anyway. I don't know what it is. They got something on this page that is blinking this page out. It's just going crazy. Okay, to skip Thailand and head to Malaysia instead. So they're trying to tell you, don't go to Thailand, go to Malaysia instead. You know what? Let me see. If I push stop, what I do is push read more. And then I think if I push stop, I think it'll stop trying to load whatever this is, because they got some shit on this fucking page. It's like good, like it's like you can't even read. It's so stupid. They're trying to get like easy clicks off of me or something. I'm gonna stop the page. I'll push stop, so that should stop it from loading anything else, I think. All right, so it says he highlights favorable exchange rates, English proficiency, and the supposed availability of nice girls as key selling points. God damn it! All right, let me hit this stop button. Let me see if that'll do it. All right. He even singles out Chinese, Christian, Catholic, and Buddhist women as being more accepting of a white husband, while citing anecdotes of successful successful marriage to support his claims. He claims that Tinder and nightlife are where one would find the wrong type of woman. If you want to find a traditional wife, then don't use dating apps or go to nightclubs to find a match. You'll definitely attract the wrong type of woman and possibly get scammed. And he's right. He goes on to advise white men traveling here to approach women working in shopping malls or join local social classes to meet women. First, make friends with the locals, join a cooking, baking class, yoga class, dance class, gym class, etc. Join their social circle. Then you'll get to meet new people. Where was I? Oh, you can go window shopping in any of the large shopping malls or dine at any restaurant. If you see a pretty sales girl or waitress you fancy, just ask her out. You see, I don't know what I hate these websites. I really do. Okay, according to him, this is a better, safer way. And I totally agree. I'll talk about that in a second. He also claimed that marrying a Malaysian woman also comes with another perk. The white husband won't have to support their family. The white husband won't have to support their family since Malaysia is the third richest country in Southeast Asia. When one user questioned his motivations, the Redditor replied, "I wished I was being paid by my country's tourism board for posting this. I'm just an ordinary Malaysian citizen just trying to be helpful to all the lonely passport bros who just want to find a nice girl and settle down." Okay, so for the most part, that right there is the main story right there. And I can honestly say, like me personally, I don't go to these bars. I don't look for bar girls. I'm not interested in bar girls because I already know that that's nothing but problems right there. And I do agree that that's the better way to go about looking for, significant others, dating future wives. Language classes, school in general. That's the best way to go about it. That really is the best way to go about it. So, okay, that was that little story. But since this website is going to keep forcing me towards this Forever Friends, what I'm going to do is I'll stop here and I'll go to the next story because this is starting to piss me off. So, just in case you hadn't heard of this story, this is something that just basically popped up. The story was published July 14th, and I had actually heard about this a couple of days ago. And I really didn't think too much about it until the actual story came up. So I figured, I'm going to share the story. Single women resort to stealing men's lunches to get asked out on a date. Why is it getting to this point? So we've already had the talk about men going their own way. You got all these dudes out here waiting for Grand Theft Auto 6. They're not even thinking about these women. They're saving up their pennies for their PlayStation 5. They're waiting for Grand Theft Auto 6. And the women out here are hurting. The simple fact is this economy is kicking ass and taking names, and they can't handle it. All that singing, all that Beyonce bullshit, all that, that we're mad, independent, throw your hands up in the air, all the ladies in Mercedes. Well, here's the problem. Now the Mercedes are getting repossessed. Now those BMW X6s that the boss babes were driving around in, they're getting repossessed. Now those Range Rovers, those cheap-ass Evoque shit, $40,000 garbage loan Range Rovers. those Evoques, those are getting repossessed. Jaguar stopped making cars. So if you were a lonely 40-year-old single woman, you can't even go out there and easily buy an F-Pace anymore. The F-Pace, the I-Pace, the E-Pace, all them things are basically gone. The XJL, the XF, the XE. Jaguar basically stopped making cars. Range Rover has shit reliability. And those cars are getting repossessed because they can't make them payments. You know what else? Not only is that economy kicking ass, but all the things related to it are just amazing. Insurance rates are up. Insurance premiums are kicking everybody ass. Oh, yeah, I want a Hellcat. Yeah, you can't afford a Hellcat. The Hellcat itself might cost you $1,000, but the insurance premium's like another $1,000, especially because you got shitty insurance. And not only that, your credit sucks. All those 3% interest rate loans that they were making, yeah, all that's done. Jerome Powell set the interest rates. He's the real president, not Trump. Jerome Powell decides how much your money's worth. Jerome Powell set them interest rates real high. It's like turning up a thermostat on these people. So anyway, I digress. You know, I got all that energy in me. I digress. Hold on. Let's get to this story. Who needs to swipe right when you can swipe a salad to find a man? Dating apps are dead. DMs are creepy, and no one approaches people out in the wild anymore. The majority out in the wild. So you basically make us sound like we're a bunch of animals. Okay, the majority of single people complain that the dating scene is the toughest it's ever been, especially in New York City. Okay, so how are people supposed to meet their suitor in today's digital dating world? Okay, let me stop right there. Did it ever occur to you that these men ain't trying to get no suitor? Did it ever occur to you these men are waiting, they trying to get that Grand Theft Auto 6 and they pushed that back a year, so now they're really angry. They're not trying to talk to these women. They're just not. It's an embarrassment. First of all, some of these women, especially if you happen to be short, if you're shorter than 6 feet tall, these women are going to turn on you. Then, just in case these women might be hungry, maybe they will go out on a date with you, but they're going to use your ass for food. And you know what that looks like. What they do is they'll get you to trick your ass to take them to someplace really nice because they refuse to accept Applebee's. They refuse to go to TGI Fridays. They refuse to go to Ruby Tuesday. They refuse to go to, what is that called? Cheesecake Factory. So they're going to make you take them out to some expensive place, like one of these steak restaurants or even Fogo de Chao where you're going to pay $60 a plate. And then they're going to take out their camera. They're going to take pictures to show off about the fact that they had Fogo de Chao. They ain't going to take your picture in front of the food. They're going to take their picture. They're going to take their picture, a selfie with the food. And they're going to put that on their Instagram. And you're not in any of the pictures. So basically, it leaves the guys looking at the photos. And you're like, wait a minute. Are you on a date? And if you're on a date, who you with? But you never ever see that second plate. You never ever see that second fork and knife set. So you assume they'd be like, oh, well, I guess she went out on her own. But the mere fact is she's really there with some dude and she's just not taking his picture. Same thing goes like when they go on vacation. These women be lying all the time. Oh, yeah, I'm an independent woman. Oh, the lady, get me say that, throw your hair. So they go on this vacation and they there with some old dumpy dude on Social Security. And he took them on the vacation, but they taking photos like they're there alone. And you looking at the photos like, wait a minute. Are you there alone? Or are you there with your girlfriends or what? Oh, yeah, we here with my girlfriends. We chilling. And then you find out she's lying. She's there with some old dude with gray hair. And he still walks around in those black socks. And he's got those boxer shorts on. And he's probably got kidney problems. So he has one of them fistulas in his arm. But that's what they do. So now, you know what my grandma always said? She said, if you will lie, you will steal, right? So now these chicks not only lying, but they're stealing your food because when they steal your food and you find out about it, they think that that's going to lead you to ask them out on dates. I mean, this is Klingon behavior right here. Like, this is like Star Trek Klingon. This is like Worf was explaining to Wesley is like, yeah, the women, you know, they growl and snarl and shit, and then they throw heavy objects at you. It's like, that's what I'm talking about. This is some Klingon behavior. They're stealing your food. You mean to tell me I order my food, I can't even pick up my food, and somebody going to try to steal it, trying to get me to ask them out on a date? It's like, wait a minute. If you'll steal my food, you'll divorce my ass and take half my shit, and you won't even think twice about it. Why would I ask you out anyway? I swear to God, this is some Klingon behavior. But anyway, what is this? Desperate times call for desperate measures. Some women in Midtown Manhattan. So you're basically talking about like single white females, like what Carrie Bradshaw, like what is it, Sex in the City? You know, because Midtown Manhattan, I already know there ain't no minorities in this picture. Not unless they're like crazy rich Asians. But anyway, TikToker Nicole, or who goes by Nicole E461. Let's see if there's a picture of her. Oh, God, I bet she's blonde.
As the dating scene is getting so bad in New York City that I am seeing on TikTok, there are girls going into Midtown during the week
and she's going to go out and
stealing Finance Bros salads,
steal his food, trying to convince him,
and then looking their name up from the salad order on LinkedIn, and then
you know what, you're a red flag,
messaging them through there and being like, hey, oh my God, so sorry, grab your salad, like, let me just make it up to you and buy you a new one. And that's
so let's go back. Hold on. I don't want to get too far off track. What does it say? It says, claims she's heard of single women popping into Midtown lunch spot during the work week to steal Finance Bros salads. So keep in mind, these women are looking for rich men. So what they're doing is they go down to Wall Street and they go look for the Finance Bros. The Finance Bros. That's a new one right there. Finance Bros. Finance Bros are the Wall Street men. So we call them the Finance Bros because they finance hoes. So anyway, and then use the name on the order to look them up on LinkedIn to message. Oh my God. So they're stalking us. Look at this. These are predators. They're stalking us. So get this. When I go into Taco Bell or I go into a store and they ask for a name for the order, you know what I tell them? I say the name is Jay. I don't give them the full name. And I've been doing that because it's like, I'm like, why the fuck do I got to tell you my name? You're supposed to give me a number, and I use the number to reference my food. Now, if you do an online order, right, sometimes your whole name pops up. Sometimes your pseudonym pops up. Your pseudonym, like my pseudonym is Big Truck Series, right? So if I order from Taco Bell, Big Truck Series review is going to pop up. So now you're telling me that these women are stealing your food so that they can look you up on LinkedIn by getting your data, your personal data, off your food. Yo, man, this is Klingon behavior. This is crazy. So, what is this? Where's the rest of this? Is that it? That's one of the things about the New York Post, man. These people suck at freaking journalism. It's like they put in like 10 words. They think that's an article. So this is her again. What did I tell you? Before I even looked at it, I was like, yeah, this has got to be some single white female shit. Because black women would never try nothing like that. Stealing your damn food to find your name? Nah, they would never think of that. And they're certainly not going after the Finance Bros. They'll wait by the finish line for Dexter Jackson. And they just think that they're supposed to get picked. And meanwhile, it's this chick right here who's going to get picked. Because she's got real hair, and it's real long, and she's styling it, and it doesn't pull out of her pores and stuff. And that's the reason why Dexter Jackson's always going to go after this chick right here. So this chick is chasing a Finance Bro, but she ain't going to get him. But Dexter Jackson's going to be right there swinging them 12 inches, and he just throws it over his shoulder. He's like, hey, baby, let's go out on a date. And she's like, okay. And then they go. It's like she said the women will reach out to the guys saying something along the lines of, hey, oh my God, so sorry, I grabbed your salad. Let me just make it up to you and buy you a new one. Really? Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're gonna buy a $20 or $30 salad. Do you know how much they charge for a salad in Midtown Manhattan? Do you know how much they charge for sodas? A soda's like $4. That's crazy. So, yeah, this thing likes to refresh because there's shit that they have in the background. You can't even read the articles because there's so much stuff going on in the background. Woman on fire. Yeah, okay. It's rough out here, she captioned the video. Why can't they just come up to us at a bar? She complained. Why is it getting to this point? Well, first of all, you're not supposed to be stealing people's salads. That's number one. Number two, it's getting like this because y'all made it like this. Because y'all made it so that regular guys who aren't maybe the finance guys, y'all made it so regular guys can't approach you. So all the men said, you know what? She's not worth the risk. I don't need a sex predator rap. I don't need a sexual offender assault thing on my name. So I'm just going to stay away from these women, right? So basically the men said, you know what? I'm going to stay home and play Grand Theft Auto instead. Or I'm going to do something more constructive, like take up a hobby. You know, the men shouldn't approach you. They really should. Why should men approach women when the best you can hope is a clean divorce? When she tries to screw somebody else and take all your damn money or half of it. Why? It doesn't make any sense. What is this? Supposedly, women will reach out to the guys saying something along the lines of, hey, oh my God, so sorry, I grabbed your salad. Let me just make it up to you and buy you a new one. Men, please step up. Your salad is gonna fucking get taken. Stop stealing. The Post did not come across any videos of women saying they've actually pursued a potential date this way. Let us, it's a pun. Let us be real. Meet cutes are wilting, but maybe stealing a $20 lunch isn't the healthiest idea. However, the consensus, according to the Post polling, seems to be that, yes, people want to be approached by a stranger. Just don't be creepy about it. I don't think there's any other way to be. I wish it happened more. And by the way, how are you going to tell somebody not to be creepy when you're literally doxing me by using a goddamn salad to find out who I am? I wish it happened more often. Astoria resident Catherine Rose, 33. That's leftover cake right there. Previously told the Post, I think it's a lost art. Honestly, it feels pretty good to the ego. 28-year-old Jonathan Mendoza told the Post, though he rarely does it himself. Mendoza is in a crowded company of reticent male singles. About 45% of men age 18 to 25 polled by behavioral neuroscientist Alexander on the website Date Psychology had never approached a woman in person. But why? Dating coach Blaine Anderson found that 53% of men say the fear of being perceived as creepy reduces their likelihood of interacting with women. Many told the Post that being approached by a stranger for romance varies depending on vibes and feelings. But according to men's dating coach Connell Barrett, there's a subtle difference between flirtatious and freaky. You mean like stealing somebody's salad in order to dox them and find out where they live and find out their name and shit? You mean that's not creepy? Really? Okay. The first kind of creep... Now, let's just think about that for a second. If I was a man, let's say that I would go to Starbucks. And let's say I'm waiting for the mixed drinks or whatever the hell it is they make to be put on the side, just like at Dunkin' Donuts, and they're putting the coffee on the side, and the coffee has a girl's name on it, and I know she ordered it, so I'm looking up the girl's name on LinkedIn, and I'm finding out everything I can about her, and then after I find out, her name and her address and all the stuff that's on LinkedIn, then I do a cold approach. Oh, is this your coffee? Oh, I'm sorry, I thought this was my iced mocha latte. You don't think there's anything creepy about that shit? But the women are doing it! That's Klingon behavior right there. That right there is some aggressive, masculine Klingon shit right there, man. That's something that Worf would be okay with. Lieutenant Commander Worf would be okay with this. I'm not okay with this. This is creepy. So it says, the first kind of creepy is a guy who objectifies a woman for her looks in her body. Oh, please. First of all, I'm going to say it right now. Women ain't got nothing else but looks and body. Women basically got like 4 things. Looks, cooking skills, and the eggs. And that's basically it. And it's like, if you ain't got the looks and you ain't got the cooking skills, at least you got to have the eggs. But too many women are finding themselves falling into that pattern right there. They got the eggs, but they don't look that great and they can't cook. Now, if you've got the looks and you can't cook, but you've got the eggs. Yeah, okay, the guys will probably, they'll probably deal with you. I mean, if you can't cook, they're going to have to go, order salad. And then they got to worry about another woman trying to steal their damn salad. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. It's like, what have we come to, man? This is Klingon behavior. Says another, he said hides the reason he's there and is not putting any romantic cards on the table. To avoid being put in this category, men should express good intentions. Yeah, okay. Just be straightforward. There are a lot of stupid lines out there, Laura Beasley, 54, explained to the Post. And that's it. They didn't even go any further with it. See, this is the reason why I refuse to pay anybody a subscription service, because most of these people suck at journalism. They go slightly into this story, but then they don't go any deeper. It's like, wait a minute. You're supposed to be pounding the pavement. You're not supposed to just pick up a TikTok article. You're supposed to be pounding the pavement. You're supposed to be out there with cameras waiting and looking for women to steal salads. You're supposed to be watching out for these women who are stealing these men's identities and finding out about them. This is supposed to be quality reporting. It's not. I'm not paying New York Times. I'm not paying the New York Post. And I'm damn sure not ordering another salad. If I do order anything, it will be with a suede on them. Like sometimes when I go to Taco Bell, I'll say, yes, my name is Jay. And I just leave it like that. So they'll put the letter J, or they'll put Jay or something like that. Now, sometimes when you order on the phone, it automatically puts your whole name on there. I'm going to have to look into that because we can't have that no more. Because usually if I order online, it'll be like Popeyes. Because, if you go to Popeyes, you got to wait a long time for an order. So it's like I'll order and then just come pick it up. But bottom line is, men got to be careful out here. These women are doxing us using your salad. How long will it be until they start slipping drugs into your drinks and stuff, and you're waking up, oh, hi, how you doing? Yeah, I'm pregnant, and you're the father, and you got to pay me 18 years child support. You don't know. You don't know. If they're willing to resort to this Klingon behavior right here, you just don't know. So all I'm saying is we got to be on our P's and Q's. You got to watch out. If you've seen the red flags, then you already know to stay away from them. But the problem is now they're stalking you. That's how bad. Let me tell you, this economy's kicking their ass, and I'm glad to see it. Donald Trump got up in there. Donald Trump is taking away everything. The Supreme Court said, yeah, guess what? You're not allowed to have abortions no more. You got Donald Trump up in there taking away Medicare, Medicaid. It's really sad. A lot of them have very expensive procedures and very expensive surgeries and shit. They might not be able to get it because Donald Trump took away Medicare, Medicaid, or whatever. He's taking away, making cuts to it. And he's like, yeah, instead of paying you, we're going to use that money for war in Israel and Ukraine because we got to give them weapons. And that's it. And there's nothing you can do about it. And bottom line is the economy kicking their ass. And Jerome Powell will not lower them interest rates, nor should he, because he can't lower the interest rates because inflation will creep up. We can't have that. And he can't raise the interest rates either because then the national debt, which is almost $40 trillion, is going to be unserviceable. So they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. The economy's kicking their ass. Oh, I can't afford my apartment. You can't talk to these women. As soon as you start talking to these women, they start telling you about bills and shit that they can't pay. It's like, I don't want to hear that. That's okay. I'm going to go back to Grand Theft Auto 6 if that's the case. What, are you kidding? So men, you see what it is. This is the reason why I keep telling y'all. Now, I've had some people who are detractors. I keep saying, get your passports. You got these detractors. And these detractors are talking shit. Now, oh, yeah, well, you're lame if you can't deal with the women here. It's like, wait a minute. What do you mean deal with? What do you mean handle? What are you talking about? You're lame if you can't handle the women here. What are you talking about handle? These women are literally stealing your goddamn salad and doxing you. What are you talking about? Get your passports. That's what you need to do. This crop right here is no good. You know what they do when they have no good crops? Usually they have a flamethrower and they just burn down the entire crop and then they start over again next winter. But this is no good. This is absolutely no good. And these passport bros are good. We're gonna survive. We're gonna end up surviving. The plantation bros, they're gonna be the ones who suffer. And they're gonna suffer dearly from the looks of it. I don't know what they going to do. Like, I don't know what's next. I really don't know what's next. If right now they doxing you by getting your data off of the side of a salad, what's next? You just don't know. So that's the warning. You know, I hope everybody heed that warning. Get your passports, because we got some rough times ahead.
Footage is missing 1 minute. How convenient. Epstein case? Closed. Client list? Gone.
To be continued.